So I thought today would go over a little bit what we did yesterday, just show you some of the steps of working at stage 2 cold wax. Hi Cindy. Because there are a lot of things to take into consideration, and some of the things can make your life so much easier. One of the things I found with cold waxes, particularly in a colder climate, is the drying time. So I have found by adding various pigments or dust or whatever into oh great the weather. Yeah. Hi Pam, hi, gosh, I can't wait to come and visit you in Cornwall. Adding a little bit of materials like marble dust or slate dust give you a speedier drying time. It partly works in the sense that the dust is absorbing some of the solvent and some of the oil. So it still needs to dry, but it kind of speeds up that process. And, you can buy the marble dust in printmaking supplies. They use it for etching. They have different grades, I think, too, so you can add that into your paint as you're working. And sometimes I do add that into the underlayers in particular, so that I can speed up and get onto the color stuff, which is what I'm really interested in. So the marble dust, I mean, you don't want to breathe it in, but it's a kind of a limestone based thing, so it's natural. It's that's not going to kill you, which is good to know, like everything else. And the slate dust, now I wouldn't really want to breathe slate dust in either, but again, it's a natural kind of thing. It's not a cadmium or a mercury or aluminium, nickel. I heard a very disturbing thing today that the oils that we have, the hydrogenated oils, are treated with nickel. And so it passes through to get them to emulsify the different oils, they pass it through nickel. And of course, that's aluminium, isn't it? It's really not good for you. So, so much is not good. Hi, Sahel. Nice to see you. Hi, Christine. Heather. I have used oil and cold wax with water-soluble oils, no problem at all. With water-soluble oils, you can go in either direction. So, you can water them down more, but at the end of the day, they are an oil paint. If you wash your brushes out in water and that sort of thing, you want to use water-based oils for your early layers, I'd say it was absolutely brilliant. Again, it's probably a water-based oil paint is a bit like hydrogenated fat, in the sense that they're using the ability of combining water and oil together, like mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is a hydrogenated fat. You're adding vinegar and you're adding oil and egg and mixing it together to make mayonnaise. So really, that's what water-soluble oils are. But once you start working with the wax, you'll find you've got to keep working with more oil rather than with washing your brushes and things out in water. So that's all I'd say. No, I really like them, and the Cobra brand is excellent. I've used them for a long time, and I also use the Winsor & Newton. So no, I'm really recommending, if you want to cut down on solvent use, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And so, yesterday we made a painting, an underpainting, and then we covered it in white. So, well, a greyish white. I've brought back some of the colour a little bit, and what is happening is by pushing that colour back down using the velatura, which is an Italian word for veil, which just means we're putting a veil over our painting, we can then excavate back or pour or use saturated colour to bring out what was underneath. So the velatura is only very, very thin. It's only a veil, but it does help you to unify and unite your picture surface, which is a real problem. Sometimes we end up with all sorts of disparate bits in our early phases. So we bring this painting back in to a coordinated start. Okay. So I've popped the Velatura on there, and in this case I didn't cover all the dark green at the bottom. I left some of the dark green at the bottom of the page, and the other painting we did, I showed you doing the Velatura, and I'll show you what I've done to that as the second stage. So I'm going to just take you down now to the hi Valerie, hi Margaret. I'll take you down to the painting now, and you can get a close-up look. Okay, so you won't be able to see me, but you'll be able to see my hands, and you can get a close-up look of that. So you can see here perhaps where the marble dust is starting to build up a little. That's quite useful. So, you know, you can zoom in with your phones probably into that. Areas where I've come over the tree, areas I've left really with virtually the underpainting underneath. I've got scorings from the solvent pour that we did. So that's kind of showing through from the bottom. And I've come in with a little bit of extra dark as well, so hopefully you can see all that. Hi Tracy, is it sunny in the north? I gotta come up your way. So, you know, I think we'll make a start here. So doing the wildflowers. Now, you know, I'm passionate about these wildflower meadows. It's where I live, and 97%, roughly 97% of the country's, the UK's wildflowers meadows have been destroyed. And so what we have left is very precious. They provide a corridor for a lot of species. I think the dandelion alone has 60 or 70 species that, you know, feed off the dandelion. So this is, I know some of you have them in your yard, and I don't know what you're going to be doing with them. You don't need to get a rotavator and get them out. Once they're flowered, then you can get rid of them. But, you know, the roots they used to make coffee out of, and when I couldn't drink coffee, dandelion coffee was just super. But, you know, this plant is very precious for a lot of insects. And unfortunately, a lot of the flowers aren't very good looking, really. They look like weeds. But if you rejig your thinking that a weed is just a plant in an unwanted place, and then you say, no, I want this, then your view of dandelions changes. So the marble dust has really helped to dry this overnight. So I can put my hands on it, and it's great, isn't it? You know, and so that's a huge plus. So there's a little bit of you know, nice wet paint, you know, up the top where the Velatura was very, very strong. And to make the tops of the grasses, what I do is I turn the page upside down and I come at it this way, and you'll see, and I scratch into this now. It's nice and juicy. Get covered in paint with this job. It's nice and juicy. I've actually got the end of a palette knife here for some really, you know, strong marks, because in a way these are the stems, and this is the blackthorn really growing on the hedgerows, which is flowering right now. It's that beautiful white flower, and we have the May tree out, which is the hawthorn. So blackthorn and hawthorn, really important plants. Oh, now this will make it easier. Right, sorry, I forgot to put my mic on because we have so much noise. If the lawnmower starts up, you won't hear me. So let me just put that in. Okay. I get the mic, don't I? I'll learn eventually. Okay, right, that's going to be a bit easier for you to hear. So I won't be drowned out by the crows. Yeah, so coming back in with the scratching like this, because the paint is a little bit wet still from yesterday, but that's quite nice. You can see how it's picking up some beautiful colours. And I had the little etching tool as well, which I'm going to use when I'm the other way around, but I just want to get as many sort of the, this is a free kick, and I just want to get as many of these stems of this grass as possible. See, I can always cover them up, but at this stage it's really nice to be able to have the texture underneath when I'm working. Think about the composition as well, which diagonal, you know, some are coming out into the picture plane, which is quite useful. So I'm bringing them quite high. I can always go over them. In fact, I sort of wanted this one to be feeling as if I'd fallen off my bike and was sitting there in the grass verge looking at everything. I went out for my first bike ride again today, picked up the courage. I had my full family with me. They won't let me out on my own anymore. So that was nice. Lots of cars on the road, so it was a bit hairy. Okay, I'm going to turn that around the other way. It's given me some great textures. Just need to, you know, scrape off some of those scrapings. They are a nuisance. You don't mind, some of them I don't mind, you know, but they do have a lot of pigment in them. So, you know, sometimes you want a clean sky and you'll roll over one of those guys and just get green everywhere. So, you know, pick those droppings up if you can. I'll get rid of them. The sky will have another roll of colour over it. It's probably a good thing to do outside rather than this desk needs a bit of clean up. Okay, so I'm going to get the scratchy tool and you know, get some finer lines now into that. That's also nice. So, you know, vary the width of your marks. With a scratchy tool I feel a bit more confident to just move it around a little bit and you know, get some non-linear, get some curvilinear marks as well as those very vertical marks, just like how that hedgerow grows. Next year I'm going to be teaching at Lund Studios in Yorkshire, and I'm going to do a specific workshop for them on hedgerows and wildflowers. So that's going to be really exciting. I think we've got that booked for October 2021, and it's quite nice sort of at the end of the year you can get the last of the heather as well. Lovely place to visit, Easingwold, if you have not been there before. I might go up a few days earlier and get up to Flamborough and Heads and a few places like that, because there's some lovely coastline along there. And this year I'm doing a seascape oil and cold wax workshop for them. We're hoping it's going to run. It's again, it's in October, so hoping it's going to run. So you get the idea that that could be a nice way to work to get those, to get these early layers in. Right, we are at a stage where, you know, we want to start thinking about the colour of the local colour, which I mean the colour of the things of what we're painting. And, you know, it's quite nice to have some warmth. So yesterday we did all these very, very cool greens. Okay, So today we're going to start adding a little bit of warmth into this. And you know, the paint today is a little stiff. So what I would recommend is to use a 50-50 mix of clear painting medium and the wax solvent, not the brush cleaner, but the wax solvent. 50-50 mix. Okay. And I mix it up in a jar, like so. And then I use my pipette. So I can just drop a few drops into my palette as I want. So I'm not really tipping up a whole lot in, I just want a few drops. So those pipettes are very useful for that. So I've just got a peachy color. You can't quite see it over here, but there we go. I've just got a peachy color, so you can see I've got the consistency a bit like I don't know, it's still quite stiff, but you know, I do want it a little bit. I do want it a little bit stiff. Hi Mary, lovely to see you. I hope things are well with you. It's great. Rita, Georgina, lovely. Marie, you know, so you kind of want to have something a bit spreadable, but it's got a little bit of body to it because I've used, you know, the cold wax. Okay. So now we're going to add this warmth into our painting. Because at the moment, as you can see, it's all in the cool color family. So when's the right time to add that warmth, you know? And the nice thing about warmth is if you've got it underneath, it just gives everything a very healthy glow. If you're thinking about, you know, the time of day that you're creating your painting as well. I'm just going to drag it across here. So don't be worried about that line just yet. I'm just adding a healthy glow. Gosh, I sound like Bob Ross. Into this area. You can see why I try to get rid of those little lumpy bits as much as possible, because they do, you know, they do give you a texture. You might not want it. So I'm just going to bring that down the side. Doesn't have to be everywhere. Again, you know, just because you've got it doesn't mean you use it everywhere. Just think in, I often think in wedges, okay? I divide my painting up as much as sometimes when I'm working, you know, horizontally or vertically, and I'm always thinking of dividing space up and thinking of wedges. So I might have a clump of grasses, you know, growing up this way, for example, and that one is coming down that way, creating a space in between here, which is nice and clear, and where they're just hitting the sun, which is here, you know, I want that to feel light. And then maybe in this corner, I don't normally use this profile, but maybe in that corner I might also leave this lovely sunny day. So let's get that warmth underneath the blue. Now where it's where the scratches are, as you can see, it's sort of picked it up in an intaglio. Well, there's an intaglio kind of etching mark there. That might have been fuzzy. I'm figuring out how this camera focuses. Right, I've got that blue that we used for the sky yesterday. Remember we mixed up 3 values of the sky? We had a darker middle and a light. I have the kind of the middle value actually. I don't have the dark value, which is sort of under there, which we will add later. So I've got this. So I now bring the sky colour, and you'll see why I wasn't too worried about this peachy colour coming up because I'm going to come over it anyway with the blue. If the roller picks up too much orange, you know, you can obviously clean your roller if that is a problem. So come back in and see all these beautiful scratches and intaglio marks. You know, so what is really nice at this stage is to work with a delicate hand. Don't feel that you need to obliterate everything. You know, some things do need to be kept. You need to apply judgment as to what you cover. All right. There's a sensitivity at this point that is required. And the tendency sometimes is to cover everything and hope for the best, but you know, hope is just not strategy, really, is it? So you can see once I get this blue over the peachy colour, there's a kind of a, it's almost like weaving, isn't it? It's, in fact, I think sometimes I look at my work and I think, I wonder if I was an embroiderer at one stage in my DNA, because they really look like pieces of fabric, you know, when they're finished. They have so many different layers underneath. I can add all the darks and all the other things in later. That's not a problem. I'm now going to mix up a kind of a greyish blue, darker than this, and I'm going to just use it with a little bit of sorry, I've got the palette right over here, so you'll have to see it when I fixed it. It's a kind of a greyish indigo colour, and I'm going to use that. I'm just going to pop it in here just to define some of the shady areas within the painting. Can you see how I'm trying to leave the scratch marks and just really applying this over very carefully over the top of all the work that we've done. I don't want to obliterate anything just yet. You can always scratch into it again, of course, if you need to, but this is what I would call a warm blue. It's very, this is quite an icy blue, and it was ice blue. I think Amblin make ice blue, but this is what I would call a warm blue, which is strange because it's a mid-tone mid-tone blue, and it's warm. I tell you, these rules get so complicated. It's just like, don't worry about the rules, just paint the painting, you know, just so that it looks right. And this is something I've learnt from experience. Adding this blue at this stage, at this value, at this mid-tone value, I've learnt this really helps me to get spatial depth in my work. I'm not making so that there's not too big a jump from the sky to the land, that there's a mid-tone blue that helps you to work from that way down. Now I just with the squeegee, just, you know, tease it out a little. I don't want lumps. And you'll see when I finish this. I don't know how much we're going to get through today. It's already nearly half past. You know, you'll see how this adds another dimension to the colour. But it's just nice. It's just a nice sort of a blue to have. And I like it particularly in the shady bits. If I want it to do something, I can, you know, I can use a brush to move it as well. And bring it across. drag that squeegee over just because it's dry, and it'll just pick up on the high points. See how it's very, very loose. Just really just feeling completely relaxed in that mark making process. I get a brush, a flat. It's got quite a stiff bristle on it. And I'm just going to work into softening. Sort of, I've left a little passage through here. Again, I've left this part of the painting. Here I haven't added the blue, so it's just in this shady area. Might take the roller. Now what it'll start to look like, I hope, is a layer of trees or something behind the grasses. So I need to layer the grasses over this surface so that they sit out over the top. Otherwise they just look like something I stuck on. So I need a background really that's going to speak to what I'm putting on it. So if you like, you know, in some ways we've worked with 3 values today with getting the light of the sky, the mid with the peachy colour and the dark with the blue. So in a way they're kind of like 3 values that we've worked with to get spatial depth really. Now we've got that orange that we've mixed up that I showed you, so I could come in, I'll just put a few of these scratches, a few of these marks back in, because this is quite important to make sure that we have enough of these, because this is what the hedgerows is, you know, really about. Just to make sure that, you know, these oak trees or whatever have these branches coming up from all different directions. You know, you might have some, for example, that come out towards you. If you think about a tree, it's a cylinder, so therefore the branches and things that come out of it are, you know, have to feel a bit like a cylinder. Just putting a little bit of that warmth on the trunk here, just so it gives us a bit of a leading edge so we can see where it is. And the thing I love about the trunks of oak trees is that they are often green. So, you know, I'll spend some time today just, you know, building up that trunk of that oak tree, but you know, we've got some beautiful textures there, you know, to help us. But because I'm going to be doing a lot more work on this today, I'll show you my next phase with this is to start adding foliage. So I will probably just come in with that peachy color and pop in some of these grasses sort of here, because I want these to, you could use a piece of card. I use different things for this. Sometimes I use this squeegee Mezzameister. Other times I use bits of card. It all depends on how thick I want, you know, want these little grass things to be. But we're actually painting dandelions, so you know, we don't need that many of these. But it's nice to have some color of that orange coming through as a pure color. I know we've got it as a background, but you know, it's really interesting to have it coming in as a pure color. So you know, I just bring it right down to where I left that gap. So I'm building movement in my painting as well. It's not a static scene, you know. In fact, I just realized I'm not even painting from a photograph. I've, you know, biked around here so much. This is just how some people paint abstract sea paintings. I guess I've got to that stage of painting abstract landscape paintings because I'm just part of this landscape now. And you know, and I think it's in your blood, isn't it? It's in your soul. You can just see it. And I love it when, you know, real strong ones, you know, pop out. So I'm layering this in the dark patch here, and how, you know, how vivid that is over the darks. So, you know, I'll keep building on this just with the grasses like that. Just keep on working it. I'll put it up here because I know it's a nice warm day. You all want to be outside. Thank you for coming to my studio. And you know, you'll want to keep on working on yours as well. But if I stand back, you can see how that blue behind really gives spatial depth. It's a bit of a Leonardo da Vinci sort of device to use that kind of smoky blue. Pushes back, but all the yellow grasses and things are going to be now pushed up on the front. So tomorrow I'll add all the wildflowers into here, and yeah, that'll be really exciting. I love it. I've got my dandelions all ready. But that's probably a good place to stop, because any of you that are following along with me doing this project, you know, it will take you a little while to get used to the handling of the different layers of the cold wax. You know, you need to have a bit of patience with it. It can get away from you if you get a little bit over ambitious. So, you know, I work on several at once, and show you another. I've got lots outside as well, but you know, I'll work on several. There's another one I'm working on here, which is a bit similar but not. And you know, again, it's to do with my own landscape and where I live. So you might have a completely different landscape, and I'd be, you know, very interested to see what you do, because you know, why don't you post them in Heart of Painting or something if you've been working on your own wildflower landscapes. It'd be really fascinating to compare, you know, the types of plants and textures and things like that we're all making. So yep, I hope you have a really good time with that technique. So we just mixed up 3 values. We had to put a warm value underneath. We put more sky color, we unified that, and then we've added the light grasses on top. So good to go. All right, have a lovely afternoon, morning, day. We're all over the world, so I can't even point out one country. See you later.